This is another good one. EOS San Diego says that game was horrible. The only thing that game proved is Trev Alberts wasted $7.5 million on Fire and Frost 10 days early. On the bright side, I actually saw Ty Robinson make a tackle. Yeah, I think, this was a business decision I'll kind of address it. Ty Robinson, I'll start off by saying this. Yeah, he finally showed up and he finally did something. Now, and I don't know if what his role really is in that defense. I don't know if it's just to eat up interior blockers or really what it is. And he doesn't really show up in the stat sheet, but you're right. He finally made a big, tackle for loss today. So that's good. The other side of it is, the reason why I think they paid him $7.5 million to go ahead and book, we've talked about this, is you get the interim coach in there, you get him a game, then you get him a couple of bye weeks, right? I think the other reason why they wanted to do this was they wanted to open the position up early, and they wanted everybody to know, hey, we're open for business. If you're decent at coaching and you think you're up for the task, we want you to interview, right? Because we're hiring. That's part of the other reason why they wanted, in today's college football landscape, it's not so much about loyalty so much as it about how quickly can you come in and how quickly can you win games. That's ultimately what it's about. I don't agree with it, at certain times, but that's really what it comes down to. It's not about, who can be the most loyal, whether it's player or coach. It's just about who can come in and produce. And, they wanted that to be pretty well known. I think the other reason, and I saw a comment about this a while back, was, God forbid, Scott Frost kept it close or won this game and then still goes out and still somehow pisses away the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Does it become harder to fire him at that point? Because again, I think Trev Alberts kind of understood going into this that, hey, maybe we need to, changes needed to be made. Changes definitely needed to be made here. For sure. So that's my take on it. I think there was just more positives to get rid of him early. At first I kind of thought probably the way you did. Why in the hell did we let go of him 10 days before he, or whatever it was, before we really needed to? And I think that's honestly why they did it. It was just, they just wanted a clean break, and this was the only way they could do it. Let's see here. Spod One says Nebraska has top 25 recruits every year. They have the talent. Yeah, they certainly do. The first couple of years, and they've averaged, I think it was like the 24th best recruiting class in the nation since Scott Frost got there. The first couple of years, they were in the teens. And then after that, they started sinking back. And now I think they were like number 30 or number 4. They were like 32nd or 40th last year, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And that actually brings up a good point here. Talent means nothing without emotion on the field. You got to be able to, and that's exactly right. Jim Filippi says that. And it's true. You got to be able to manage that talent. And that's almost what I kind of felt like the Frost era was really defined by, was just, we could not manage the talent we had. It was almost like, you would get these guys in and they just wouldn't be able to produce. And I don't know what it was. I just think it was that killer instinct at practice. I just don't know if he was really pushing them the way they needed to be pushed. I just don't know if it was what it really was, man. It just seems like it was all these little things that just weren't being done that kind of compounded and compounded and compounded, and just we weren't able to do it. But yeah, let's see here. Gavin Robinson says we have to clean up penalties. When I was watching the game, I was getting upset, but I told myself, Gavin, it's just the game. I know you want to win a lot of games. Right. Yeah, the penalties was another thing, we kind of talked about in this as well, was, it seemed like at times early in this game, because it was really hard to really grade this game or to really gauge this game. It was over so fast, I felt like. But, in critical points of this game, whenever our offense was getting the ball going or driving down the field, they would have a penalty on like second down, push them back, then they'd have a big sack, and then it would just, it just threw the whole thing off. And I think Casey Thompson, he really got shook up, and he kind of got rattled with it, right? As we kind of go back, he was 14 to 20, 129 yards and a touchdown. Again, our O-line, we gave up 4 sacks. I mean, it was just rough today, man, to say the least. Let's see here. Let's see here. He says, Jim Philippi says again, the D linemen need to be able to control the running lanes, execute an effective pass rush, and occupy the O line so the linebackers can make plays. Exactly. I've said this, and I'm going to say this again till I'm blue in the face. The defense that we're running is allowing the other team's offensive linemen to get up to that level. They're not playing sound gap football. They're not filling their gaps the right way, right? And I think part of that is because we're running two defensive tackles, and then we've got two guys who are edge rushers who are trying to play out there. And the other teams are just scooping up. They're just blocking them, putting a hat on a hat, and then zone blocking up. And that's how they're able to sort of get back there. A way to stop that would be to go get three defensive tackles, which would be, again, Ty Robinson, Colton Feist, and Stephon Wynn, or Devon Drew. Put them out there. Put both your edge rushers out there. So now you've got five guys on that line, and then make it a lot harder for those interior linemen to get up to our linebackers. That's, to me, that would be that's what when I talk about scheme, that's what I mean. Now the downside of doing that is you're going to have to throw one of those nickel, one of those nickel, or one of those dime players, defensive backs. You're going to have to probably throw them out of the game. But again, and we saw it early in the game, when we actually wanted to blitz and we wanted to do that, we got after Dylan Gabriel. We were able to get to him, and we threw him off, right? Up until that big run he had. It just, like I said, it's just one of those things where they kind of called the dogs off, I felt like, and they weren't able to, they stopped trying to get after him. They dropped back and started playing more of that zone at certain times. And that's when you just started seeing them pick us apart, and you see it. Yeah.